Casey, it is so nice to meet you.
Yes, yes. Nice to meet you as well. Thanks for having me today. Appreciate it.
It's fantastic. It's great. For the listeners out there, Casey, I found on Instagram actually through a friend who needed a personal trainer. And I was like, oh, great. Who is this person? She said, no, she's this girl in Michigan. I've been following you for quite a while. And then when I look at your content, I'm just like, yes, this speaks to me. I've got so many personal questions for you. So
Yeah.
I'm excited. And I think for a lot of the people that are going to be watching this, there's so much doubt, so much overwhelm, so much everything. So I'm excited to maybe clarify some things and just help people with information, right?
Yeah.
Before we get started, I think it'll be really important for our viewers to just learn a little bit about you, how you got started on this journey.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thanks again for having me today. I really appreciate it. I'm excited to chat with you and have this great conversation. So a little bit about me. I've been a registered dietitian for 20 years. My background is in nutrition, and I've kind of worked a variety of jobs in my past, mostly nutrition focused. And when I was at my most recent day job, before I started my business, I was working in a medical clinic with the patients who were diabetic and patients who were in need of weight loss. And just kind of found myself having some handcuffs on, right? With the constraints of insurance and what the parameters of their insurance program would allow me to have the frequency that I could see them with. And then, working with diabetic patients. And sometimes they just didn't always want to be there. They were there to see the dietitian because their doctor told them that they had to be. And they really weren't on board with a lot of the lifestyle changes I was really trying to encourage and promote. So it was a little frustrating for me. And it was when I was working in that medical clinic that I had an idea. And I thought, if I could just work a little bit more closely with people and maybe give them a little bit more support and guidance, maybe send them a text message once or twice a week or give them a phone call a little bit more frequently, I think they could perhaps be a little bit more successful. They need some more accountability. They need a little bit more support. They don't need another meal plan necessarily, but they need some accountability. And so I had a thought like, let's try this. Maybe I can do I called it wellness coaching. And I kind of just started a business, not with the intent of like making it a business, but because I really wanted to help people. So back in 2019, threw out a Facebook page and a flyer and got some things rolling, got some, followers on my page, got some clients working with me locally, and really was just kind of doing wellness, nutrition coaching with some of my local people.
Yeah.
And pretty soon into that, I decided, I would love to be able to give them a little bit more fitness guidance. Like I was into fitness myself, but I didn't have the credentials behind me to write them a fitness plan or tell them specifically what they should be doing in the gym to support their goals. And so I thought, I'm going to put in for certified personal trainer. There's, certifications going on that I can do and wanted to further my education there. And I got that certified personal trainer under my belt, and that really was beneficial to the people I was working with. That spurred on to like some local fitness classes at my local gym. And then the pandemic hit and things
Yeah.
kind of virtual. So I think it was a combination of timing for things.
Yeah.
And then I turned this finished basement into my studio in my home, and virtual fitness just kind of took off. And now it's really gotten to a point in my social media audience where people find me from all corners of the world, which is really exciting.
Even in Canada. I love it.
Even in Canada.
It's so
Yeah,
great.
exactly. Yeah.
It's awesome. And I think even for me, like with my yoga business, it was in the gym and then COVID, and then you have to find a way, right? And,
Yeah.
they're just some people who absolutely love training and working from home in their own environment and can fit it into their lifestyle, which is really cool. So that's awesome. I think one of the key things that we want to talk about today, and for me and for the audience, is we are 40 plus, and that's the audience that we're talking to. It's people that are going through perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause, and they're all these symptoms that we talk about. I want to hear about you. How do you see yourself being 40 compared to like when you were 20 years old? How are things different for you and in your body?
Oh, yeah. Very different.
Yeah.
So, I mean, my approach to so many things has changed as well. But right, I think, recognizing a lot of physical changes are happening in my body that I didn't really have to worry about when I was in my 20s, you know. And I think I hear this a lot from my clients that when they would maybe put on a few pounds, it would be really easy for them to do one or two things, and those pounds would be like forgotten. They'd be out the window, right? And now all of a sudden they recognize like it is so much more difficult for me to lose even just a handful of pounds. And all of a sudden now my body is changing. Like things are changing hormonally, things are happening in my body that are, it's really making my body look different, feel different. My energy level is different. And so some of the strategies that we have to use are just different. We have to come at it with a little bit more of a plan and a strategy in place compared to when we were in our 20s and we could just go run 5 miles for a week and we'd drop 5 pounds, right?
I think it's always like one of my plans would be just cut the sugar and the carbs and we're good to go. Not anymore.
Yeah.
And I think with all of those fluctuations as well, there are many other things that are happening as well. So we're having hot flashes, we're not getting enough sleep. Tell me about the people that you speak to. Are they coming to you that 40, 50, 60? What are their biggest complaints? What are they looking for?
Yeah. You know, a common concern or complaint that I hear is, I just want to feel like myself again.
Oh, right on.
Yeah. Like I'm not recognizing this person in the mirror. I don't recognize how I'm feeling. I'm frustrated. I'm exhausted. And their body is no longer responding to the methods that they were using previously. So a lot of their common complaints are, you know, body composition, low energy, poor sleep, and then a lot of confusion about what should I be doing? You know, what's actually effective, because they're just kind of inundated with social media and all of these things that people are telling them work and you should be doing. And, you know, there's conflicting advice. So kind of confusion as well. It adds to that.
And I think to that point about the overwhelm with social media, we go down this rabbit hole of like, oh my gosh, because the more you talk about it, we know that the universe is listening. And the next day you've got all of these things about like creatine, protein, lifting weights, all these things. My kids always tell me, Mom, Gen Xers love HIIT workouts and doing like high impact training. We love it because the more I burn, the better it is. It's like a whole psychological thing. Like, hey, honestly, I'm going to be vulnerable with you. I used to train in my 20s so that I could eat fast food. Like totally messed up. When I think of weight training, I want to talk about weights now more in detail, is I see these things on Instagram. It's like up and go and wide and tons of repetitions. But what I'm learning and listening to these top doctors out there and people, Dr. Mary Claire Haver, all these people that are talking and on point about perimenopause and strength training, what does that strength training look like? Help us understand what that really is.
Yeah, definitely. So, so I think, you know, I used to be kind of call myself the self-proclaimed cardio queen, similar to you, right? Like it just
my goal, yes.
It served its purpose, right, in the time. But right, the transition to making strength training a priority is so important, especially for us women over the age of 40 and running into those perimenopausal issues. But the importance of strength training for us in this age group is huge, because at this point in our lives, if we don't do something to prevent the natural progression of muscle loss, it's going to happen. We will lose muscle daily. I mean, not huge amounts, but over time, we are going to lose muscle mass. We're going to lose our strength, our functionality, and our independence if we do not do something to prevent it. And same thing with bone density. And, you know, so we can strength train to prevent the natural progression and to actually offset it. Like you can actually build muscle in your 40s and your 50s and into your 60s. You can reverse it. You can reverse this natural progression. That's kind of one of the most important things I try to get across to my clients is we're training not to shrink ourselves. We're training to strengthen and build. And in the meantime, you're boosting that metabolism. You're setting yourself up for good success if you are trying to lose fat. But not only that, is you're setting your future self up for being strong and functional and independent as you age. And there's so many more benefits, things like insulin sensitivity, confidence, posture, your mood, your energy. A lot of people start to sleep better when they incorporate strength training. So many wonderful benefits. when women make strength training a
Yeah.
priority.
You are so on point. When I was looking at your Instagram, you have a post and I love it. I'm going to read it here. It says,
Okay.
focus on the pounds you lift, not the pounds you weigh.
Yeah.
And I think it's key. It's like, it's a great little one-liner to remember that our focus is often just on what is the scale saying.
Oh, yeah.
One of my sayings is strong over thin, nutrition over calories. I love that because it's a reminder to myself of, that era of just being so like a stick insect and being thin. And then now it's so cool to be strong, build muscle and to
Yeah.
support yourself. I often talk about, at what age do you need somebody to lift you up off the toilet? We want to prevent that. And that longevity is so important. The strength of your quad muscles, it correlates to your longevity. Our quads need to be strong. And so when we are doing this amazing strength training, this is what we're talking about, this kind of longevity. I'm scared about muscle loss and I'm scared about bone density issues. And you're right, it is reversible. Can we delve in a little bit more, Casey, about picking up weight? I see you picking up like these massive things. And I'm like, do I start slow? What are you recommending? And of course, at the end of this, there will be in the comments, please, all Casey's details will be there and you can contact her if you wish. I'm a yoga teacher. I do a lot of yoga, but I love to supplement what I'm doing with extra weight training. But, these little piddly weights are not going to help me. I want to actually lift weight. What are you suggesting?
Yeah, great. Well, especially if if they're brand new to lifting, right? If they're brand new to lifting or maybe they had some strength training experience in the past, or this has been a little while since they've been at it, I definitely recommend you got to ease in nice and slowly. I love talking about women getting strong and lifting heavy and not being afraid to lift heavy. But in those cases, if you're new to lifting or it's been quite some time since you've been active, you got to start light. We need to talk about injury prevention and focusing on form and technique to develop a good foundation. And you don't have to stay there long, but when I start women at a foundational level, for right now I'm offering a kickstart. I call it a kickstart program. So it's just a couple weeks of entry level workouts. I'm saying 3 pounds, 5 pounds, 8-pound dumbbells is all you need. I do not want women coming into that beginner level program thinking they need to lift 12, 15 or 20 pounds. That's not what the point is, to get you started. So light to start, focus on form and technique, get your body used to these moves, and also establishing an effective routine that's going to work for you. Because you could have the perfect plan, but if you don't follow it and you don't implement it, it isn't going to help you. So rather than coming into it saying, I got to lift, 4 days a week and I need to be in the gym for at least an hour every time. Probably isn't going to work for at least most of the women I work with. We need to do what's going to work for our lifestyle, right? So creating a plan is going to fit for you. And generally, 20 to 30 to 35-minute workouts, 2 to 3 times a week will work, that you can get in.
I agree with you. And I think if you don't have a plan, it's never going to happen. I know that for myself. There are days where I think, if I wasn't a yoga teacher, how often would I show up?
Yeah.
I mean, some days I'm like, it's all rainy outside for me today, but I would love to stay in bed and drink my coffee. Also, because I'm feeling tired, I don't have the motivation. A lot of people, they just hate the gym. They hate any form of exercise. But when you see results and of how good you feel, like that endorphin release, and you see change, and I think that's why it's key. So starting slow is great because you're not picking up these heavy weights where you can't walk the next day. Exactly. It's about feeling like, I did something. But it's a good, yummy feeling, right? Of like, I need to do this again because it's good for me.
Yes. Right.
Awesome.
And building that confidence, like knowing I said I was going to show up. I did. And okay, I'm rewriting my story. Maybe I was somebody who had all these promises to myself and I keep showing up every Monday and having to start over again. But kind of sticking to a plan, you're building confidence. Like every single time you show up, you're checking the box for the person that you want to become. And yes, when you start seeing those results, it can become really motivating and encouraging, and hopefully encouraging you to continue. And then recognizing we have those mornings. I have those mornings too. I don't want to get out of bed and do the workout, right? But motivation is not always going to be there. Okay. But you have the discipline, you create the habits, you create the routine.
Good.
Little story, if I can throw one in, about a client in my group who's been lifting with the program for probably about 2 to 3 years. And she is in her early 60s, I believe, maybe just right around 60. And she said the other day she was at the store and she didn't have a cart, but she needed some cat litter. And she grabbed 2 14-pound bags of cat litter and walked up, grabbed them with her hand, walked up to the counter and put them on the counter. And she said the cashier, who is much younger than her, made a point to tell her, like, wow, I couldn't have lifted those bags. And she felt so strong, so empowered, so proud of herself because at 60 plus, she could carry almost 30 pounds of cat food across the store, put it on the counter. And like, it's the little things, right? Like, it's not like she's training to carry cat litter, but the fact that she do that and comfortably do that was a big win for her.
Oh, I love that story. Thanks so much for sharing that. And I think that's so encouraging for so many people. Let's talk about nutrition, the other side of all of this, especially going through perimenopause. There are big body changes. There are these fluctuations, this roller coaster, and it's affecting our body. All I know is I'm trying to give myself phytoestrogens, lots of green, and lots of protein.
Yes.
Talk us through this.
Right. Like we talked about when we were in our 20s or early 30s, we could just kind of tighten up, or we could cut out the sugar, or we could cut the portions, and all of a sudden our body responds in a favorable way. As we become older, I like to change the emphasis on fueling our body, right? Like, so it's not just about eating less. The focus becomes on fueling, and what does my body need, and how can I help support my body and what I'm trying to do with the lifting and the activity that I'm doing, and what is best for my body. So instead of restriction, I like to focus on fueling with my clients, even if they're in a fat loss phase. We still talk about it as fueling. And absolutely, protein. Women, I think, in this age group just get bombarded, which is great because we're recognizing the importance of protein. And many of us, myself included, and I was a dietitian, but I did not emphasize the protein like I probably should have in my younger years. And now that shift is there. Like, it's every time I go to eat, where's the protein on my plate? And that's what I try to emphasize for my clients every time you go to eat. And then it becomes, again, more habit and more habitual. So protein, absolutely. I think for the bone health issues, we need to focus on the calcium and the vitamin D sources. Absolutely. Magnesium is a key for a lot of women who are struggling with sleep issues and also for recovery. We want to keep the magnesium at the top of the list. And then I think fiber, absolutely, 100%. The more, vegetables and fruits and those kinds of things you can incorporate, the better. And omega-3 fatty acids, to help with that brain health and fight that inflammation, I think are some key nutrients for this particular age group.
Yeah, fantastic. I think it's quite a mission. Like a lot of my friends, we talk about protein all the time, and we say, what we're hearing out there is 1 gram of protein per pound. Is that a good, that's a good measurement?
Yeah, I think that's a good ballpark. Typically I'll say, depending on where the woman is at, and if she's got a good amount of weight to lose, I will encourage her to maybe focus on more of a goal weight for that recommendation. So let's say, she's at maybe 230 pounds. I wouldn't want her eating 230 grams of protein. I would look more at her goal weight, which may be more like 150 or 160.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And so it's just kind of a range. But yeah, if you're looking at weight loss, maybe look more towards that goal weight for that recommendation. But roughly 0.8 to 1 pound or 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight is a good ballpark. Everyone's needs are going to be different. But that's a good ballpark.
Yeah. And I think it's tough because if somebody's never focused on this, it can be so overwhelming because what I wanted to share with the viewers is, guys, 1 chicken fillet or breast, just plain, no skin, no bone. If it's 100 grams, it's not 100 grams of protein. So listen, this is our world. We're focusing on food. This is what we do. But honestly, do you know how many people don't actually know that? So please, that piece of chicken is made up of a whole lot of things. We've got water, fat, protein, a whole lot of things, right? I think it's like 22 to 26 grams maybe of protein in 1 piece of chicken. So look on the back of labels as well. You'll see it says per cup or per 100 grams how much protein, and that's how you can figure it out.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Labels are huge. Absolutely.
Yeah.
For most meat products, it's going to be about 7 grams of protein per ounce.
Mm.
So kind of, if you're getting like a 5-ounce steak or a 4-ounce
Yes.
chicken breast, in the US, that's how we, measure it. It's going to be about approximately 7 grams, depending on the type
Okay.
of meat that you're getting. So, right, about 3 ounces.
Yeah.
That size of a deck of cards is going to be about 21 grams of protein of a chicken breast. That's kind of how we.
Love that. That's a good
Yeah.
visual. Okay, I can do
Yeah.
a deck of cards.
Yes.
And then also, I mean, it's hard for me because there are days I wake up in the morning and I just cannot think about eating an egg or protein. But
Yeah.
I think the learning for me is about what works for me. So I can do it at 10 o'clock, but
Mm.
I can't do it at 7:30, 8 a.m.
Okay.
So I will have cooked oatmeal in the morning, just with
Yeah.
water, a little bit of salt. And then I go to yoga, come back, and then I can actually sit down and eat a protein. But I think some of us, there's so many changes in my body, never mind my palate and what doesn't taste good anymore. Like I cannot drink alcohol. It just, my body does not metabolize alcohol. Like beer, yes, but not wine. So listening to your body, like what is actually happening. And I think that's another big change is like,
Yes.
if I drink red wine, I have heart palpitations at night. I cannot sleep. And I'm just like, you know what? I decided I work so hard at trying to do the right thing, eat clean, have my protein, drink the water, have my magnesium, do the vitamin D3, blah, 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 and exercise and body train and body weight. Oh my gosh. And I throw in wine. It's
Yeah.
like chucking down toxins that my body also has to work with. And please, guys, if you drink your wine, go ahead. I'm not saying that you shouldn't. It's just for me. So figure it out for yourself. I don't know how you feel about that, Casey.
No, definitely. Alcohol has affected me differently as I've gotten older as well. And where I could kind of get away with drinking more when I was younger, it
Yeah.
makes me feel horrible anymore. So yeah, definitely I've cut back on the amount, the frequency. It's just
Yeah.
not worth it anymore.
Yeah,
Sitting, you're
it's not.
working so hard in so many ways. You want to feel good and almost guaranteed headache or, just feeling crummy the next day.
Yeah.
Definitely that anxiety, inducing the next morning for me is like, right, I've got like a rapid heart rate and I feel just anxious and it's like this isn't worth it anymore. So
No,
I think a
no.
lot of women in perimenopause, as we get older, then is it the metabolism
Yeah.
of the alcohol or if it's related to something else? But right. I think the important thing is listen to your body and be honest.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
negatively. And,
Yes.
if it is, maybe it's worth giving it up or, backing off. And,
Yes.
right. For a lot of my women who are trying to lose fat, it's like, are those extra calories even worth it? And then,
Yeah.
then your inhibitions are down and you might go munch a little bit more and so
Yeah.
it's just cycle of like,
It is.
right. If you can limit it or reduce it,
Yeah.
that's a wonderful thing.
What I learn now is sleep is gold. It is everything to me. But all I've learned is if anything cuts into that sleep time, I'm not a happy person the next day.
Right.
And it's key for, I think, just everything as we go through this change.
Be mindful of what's affecting you. For me, it's like if I have caffeine after a certain point, I know it's going to have an impact on my sleep. If I have alcohol beyond a certain level, it will impact my sleep. So yeah, it's like being mindful of those things. Is that choice worth it?
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about other exercise that people are doing because we don't want to make people feel like, oh my gosh, the only thing you should do is strength training. And I know that you are a big walker. So I'll share a quick story. I teach a form of fitness yoga where we will do push-ups, planks, and really get focused on foundational yoga, making sure that you're building strength, flexibility for longevity. I have a lady, she's turning 83 this year, and she push-ups, she planks, she's my inspiration. And it's wonderful to see seniors have such flexibility and balance, which is key for everything. But I think let's talk a little bit about other exercise and how important it is.
Yeah, definitely. Just because I talk about strength training and, that doesn't mean that's the only thing that we should do.
Yeah.
I think it's really important for women to move their bodies in a way that they enjoy. Finding other activities that are going to be enjoyable to you, finding ways to move your body. daily walking, I think, is so important. For me, that's a priority. I encourage daily movement for my clients to help get their total daily energy expenditure up, especially if they're trying to be in the fat loss phase.
Right.
So daily movement, so important. I'm a huge fan of mobility. I love yoga and what it can do for us. Absolutely. So I'm really interested in your fitness yoga. That sounds amazing. I'll have to try a class. Um,
Yay.
but no, definitely a fan. And I think providing for that balance, right? Like if all we're doing is strength training, we're losing the benefits of the mobility and our joint health. And then we're
Yeah.
losing the benefit of our flexibility and developing some of that strength that you're talking about in certain areas. I think it's a wonderful thing to incorporate the balance. Even though I'm not a cardio queen anymore, it's still important for me to increase my heart rate and to a certain point. So I still want to work my heart and lungs. I don't only do cardio anymore. So there are days where I'll incorporate running hills or I'll do a HIIT workout. I don't do it 6 days a week, but I do it
Yeah.
1 or 2 a week to challenge my heart and lungs. So
Yeah.
having a good balance of different types of activity, I think, is really important. And I think for all women, finding something you enjoy is what's going to help you stick with it long term.
Yeah. Yeah. Something that I was thinking about last night, my daughter and I went to watch my husband play tennis. So it was
Yeah.
like under the floodlights. I think you used the correct word. It's a joy. What brings you joy? And part of going through menopause means that we're in a phase of life where we're heading 50. And before you know it, we're 60. And then we're 65. And so this time of our life is where we know that to have social interaction is actually part of this whole thing. That's what keeps us living long as well, is having these beautiful relationships with people. And how do you do that? So I know you're posting about your walking group and encouraging people to walk. Find groups of girls or men or people, walk with them and do the things that make you feel fulfilled, give you purpose and have social interaction, because it does bring you joy. And I think so part of it is this holistic approach about going through the stage of life. We don't want to talk about it. Oh, we aging. Oh, it's an awful word, whatever.
Yeah.
Own it, man. I love getting older. Like, I feel like we don't have to suffer through this. We can thrive and feel absolutely fantastic in this phase of life. I mean, I must say, for me, I feel good about eating healthy. The more I exercise and the more I do strength training, I feel like, I just want to be kinder to my body, because we look at the people around us that are even older, or our parents. Some of our parents have passed away. What is it that they are struggling with from a health perspective? When we talk about strength training or lifting weights, going back to this again, but it was only bodybuilders who did it. It was a small percentage of the population that was picking up these heavy weights. And now we're learning how important that is. So yeah, I just wanted to bring in the social aspect of like doing the stuff that brings you joy. So even if it's a yoga class, Pilates, do those things because it gives you connection, which is what part of what we need as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, I echo all of that. I think the connection is huge. Absolutely. So important. Again, if it's something that you enjoy, brings you joy, and you're continuing to be social and interactive, especially as we age. Pickleball, I know, is another one that just popped in my head.
Huge.
I played pickleball last night with my husband and my son and my husband's uncle, who is in his early to mid 60s, but they're big into pickleball. And I mean, this has kept him and his wife active. And I mean, you should see them move on the pickleball court. And, they're showing me up and I'm like, okay, I need to work on
No,
this.
I know. It's huge here
What
as well.
a great activity. And they go and they winter and they meet all these people on the pickleball court. So it's really like find what you enjoy and you can have that social component. It keeps you moving. It's so important. Absolutely.
Yeah,
So.
totally. Casey, one of the big things for women in midlife is weight gain. And it's not just weight gain anywhere. It's that midsection. It's this hormonal situation. What are your thoughts on this?
It's a common complaint among women, and I think it is related to the hormonal changes that women experience, and it's a distribution kind of issue. Women often will say, I've never held fat here before, and all of a sudden it is here, and then it's difficult for it to go away, and so they're really struggling with it. My recommendations are similar to what they would be for someone who's struggling with fat loss elsewhere. You got to be mindful of your intake. You have to be accountable to how much are you consuming, right? And start increasing that awareness and looking at your portions. And then dialing back to that, the nutritional concepts we talked about, like, got to be the protein, it's got to be the fiber, you got to watch the alcohol, limit the processed foods, focus on a diet that's full and rich in fruits and vegetables. So, just nothing that's, crazy or out there, like very like only for the belly fat, you have to do these certain things. Like, it's still some general nutrition guidance. But just kind of knowing that it is common in this age group to have that distribution of that change, but it doesn't mean that you have to be okay with it or that you can change it at all. It can be with these dietary strategies.
If somebody's interested in speaking to you and they're like, oh my gosh, I need Tessie in my life to like help me get on track, what does that look like? Can they just contact you? Can they email you? We're going to put your details in there. What does it look like? And how does the process work with you?
Yeah, great question. So I welcome that. My socials are always open. I am on Instagram, is the best kind of way to DM me, typically fit.nutritionist on Instagram. Facebook is another place that you can find me. I'm Casey Young, RD CPT there. My website, you're going to link that in, but it's inspirehw.com. You can fill out a contact request there, which will go to my email. But you can certainly reach out. I've got programs specific to nutrition and fitness, and I'm always happy to connect with people who are interested in getting support for either of those.
Okay, great. Do they need to have a gym at home to work with you?
They don't have to have access to a gym. My fitness program is designed specifically for women to do the workouts at home if they want to. So I use basically just dumbbells for the workouts that we're doing. So if you've got just a handful of dumbbells, like I said, especially if you're just getting started, light weights, 3s, 5s, up to 8s, you're good to go. Yoga mat is helpful for some of the floor work and stretching that we're doing. But you could take the workouts with you to the gym. Some of my clients do it that way. But I found for convenience and for just the sustainability, right? Like, it's just easy. They go downstairs in their little basement. They go into their living room. They've got the little weight rack right there. They can do the workout. 35 minutes, don't have to drive anywhere to get it done. So that's kind of one of the benefits too, is just the convenience of doing it at home. So if they were to do some workouts with me, they would need a handful of dumbbells to get that done.
Okay, to wrap things up, I've got 2 questions. The first one is, what myth or belief system would you wish women would stop that are over 40?
I think we come in with those beliefs that we had when we were in our younger years, right? Like, I just need to run more, or I need to get on the treadmill and just kind of burn off the food that I'm eating, right? So they're looking at the scale only and watching that. And I think that is one thing I try really hard in my program, is to help women understand that, number one, your self-worth is never tied to the number on the scale, but also, you can make some great progress in body composition and your health and your confidence and your fitness without seeing the scale change much. I have a lot of women that come into the program who, drop a size or 2 or 3, and the scale may only change, 5 to 8 pounds or very little, but they can recognize some really great physical changes in their body. So I think getting away from the scale being such a focus that was drilled into our head for so many years, it needs to be as low as possible. And coming in with that, I want to get to this weight, because in their mind, when they were this weight, they felt like they looked their best. But women need to understand, when you're strength training, your weight may be different. At my lowest weight when I was in my running days, I'm a good 8 to 10 pounds heavier now, but my body, I think, looks stronger and healthier, and I'm still in the same size clothes, and I'm a petite woman. I'm barely 5 feet tall. So on me, 8 to 10 pounds could be a good amount of weight, but your composition is going to change in a way that you will like the look and like the feel and feel a lot healthier.
Yeah, I just want to say that your approach and everything is super positive, and I completely resonate with that. And it's so, so refreshing and so great. And so I'm excited that we chatted today. I'm really looking forward to other people listening to this and getting information. Thanks so much for that. I've got the last question for you. And literally you can choose what is your favorite book or what is your favorite song
Oh,
or a
good question.
recommended book.
A recommended book. Okay, I'll go with that one. Definitely Atomic Habits by James Clear. So I'm all about the small, sustainable, starting slow, building on top of that. So Atomic Habits is a book that I would recommend everyone should read. If you're trying to work on behavior change that is sustainable, you don't want to overhaul. You got to start slow. And I think James Clear, his book Atomic Habits, does a fantastic job of walking us through that.
I love that. Great. So guys, Atomic Habit, go get it. Awesome.
Yeah. He's not paying me to say that. I wish he was, but it's a great.
It's awesome. Listen, thank you so much for your time today. And we will be in touch again. And please, guys, if you're looking for Kenzie's information, it'll be in the comments. It was really great. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. Have a great day.
Sure.